Now let's say I remove this one line here, and here I just changed the code, right? So we make these changes, and I add them and commit them, removed some log lines. So now I have a commit to push the remote repository, right? I have the commit locally, remote repository doesn't know about that. Now, before I push that, let's say I realized that the change that I made was wrong. So I want to revert the change, and I want to revert the whole commit. Since I have it only locally and not in remote repository, since no one else has checked it out, I can actually pretty safely reset the last commit, right? So if I do git log, and next to the last commit hash, you see head, which is basically the pointer to the last commit. I see this is my last commit, removed some log lines, and I want to revert this. And I can do that using reset hard head. And here I specify how many commits I want to reset. So if I want to reset the last 2 commits or last 3 commits, I can write 2 or 3 here. I just want to reset the last commit. So I'm going to do head -1. And now if I do git log, you see that the last commit is gone, disappeared, and the current last commit is the previous one. So if I do status, the changes are gone, right? I don't have any changes now. And the changes that I made got reverted. I have these 2 lines back as they were before. Like nothing happened. So what this hard option here does is basically reverts the commit and also discards the changes that were in commit. But what if I didn't want to just revert the commit, but I wanted to correct the changes that I made? So again, let's remove the line here and let's do this and commit it again. And commit that. And again, I have a new commit in the log. Now, let's say I don't want to discard all the changes when I revert the commit. I want to correct that. I realize that I still need to do the commit and those changes, but I want to change something or correct something in my changes and then commit again. In this case, I can do reset head without hard. This is the same as reset soft, but soft is a default option. So if I do not use it, it's going to default to reset soft. And if I execute and do git status, you see that the change is still there, but the commit is gone. So commit got reverted, but I still have the code changes locally. So for example, deleting the last line was correct, but here it should be like this. And now this is correct. And now I can re-add and recommit the changes again. Now there is another way to update the commit, the last commit that I made in my local repository. So for example, if I later decided, hey, you know what? This line should also be deleted here. Now that's one commit. And that change actually belongs to the previous commit where I said deleting some log lines. So I add those changes and now I can do git commit amend. So this, instead of creating a new commit, will merge that change or this new commit into the previous one, into the last one, and amend the change to that. So if I do this, I actually have the description of my last commit, and I can leave it as is and save it. It has been committed, and if I see the logs, it has been merged into the last commit. It hasn't created a new one. So now I can actually push that to the remote repository, and that's it. Now, let's say I realized, you know what, that commit was extremely wrong. I shouldn't have made it, or it broke something, and I realized, okay, I should have done it in a different way. Now, I can't just revert the commit locally using git reset because I have already pushed it to the remote repository. So the change is already here. So what do I do now? I have to change this commit, remove some log lines again, right here. So what I want to achieve now is basically I want to revert, or I want to undo the commit in the remote repository as well. And the way I can do this is git reset head, like we did the last time. And I'm going to do it with hard because I want to discard all the changes. I want to revert the commit. I want to start from scratch. So this will remove the commit. Now my local repository has the change, but the remote still has the commit right here. So how do I remove that? I can do that using git push -- force. Why force? Because we have created change, or we have reverted something that remote repository already has. So just doing git push would not allow us to push our changes. So let's actually try that. And here you see we're not allowed to do that because we have one commit less than our remote branch. So it tells us to update our local branch. So to get the last commit, because now for Git, we're actually behind the remote repository. But we know that we want to override that behavior. We want to remove that remote commit as well. Basically, we know what we're doing. So in that case, we can do force behavior. And if I do git push force, it actually still forces our changes to the remote repository. And now if I go back and refresh this, see, the commit is gone. So we overwrote the commit in the remote repository. Now there's very, very important note here, and that is you should not do this in develop or master branch, or in a branch where a lot of people, a lot of other developers are also working in. Why? Because let's say you have added a new commit, you have committed it to the remote repository, and 2 other developers have pulled your commit. Now, you have removed that commit from the remote repository, so it doesn't exist anymore. So what happens now when other 2 developers who have that commit, that specific commit that you just removed from the remote repository locally, when they try to add their changes to the branch, they will have a problem because now their branch changes won't be accepted by remote. So when they try to push, the Git will complain that something is wrong, the reference isn't there, and the history is basically messed up. So you shouldn't do this in a branch where you know that other people are also working with you, because you will break their Git connection, so to say. And of course, you can fix this and resolve this, but it will be some effort on their side. However, you can do it if you're working in a feature branch or bug fix branch where it's just you. You are the only one making changes, because then you can actually override the commit. So what is an alternative for undoing or resetting the commit in master branch, for example, or in develop branch? The alternative for that is revert. So there is git revert. So let's move to the master branch and let's make a change here. Let's remove the last file. Let's add that and commit. Let's just do test and push. And now the master branch has a new commit. And let's say this one commit has a lot of code changes, right? So it will be actually a lot of effort to go through each file and undo the changes and then recommit. Instead, we just want to revert that specific commit. So everything that's inside, all the changes, we just want them reverted. So the way to do that is doing git revert command. And for git revert, we need actually the commit ID or commit hash of the commit that we want to revert. And we can get the commit hashes here with git log. This is the commit hash, or we can also get it from the UI. This is the same thing right here. So let's copy that and do git revert. The ID of the commit we are reverting. The commit message automatically says revert the commit message of the commit we are reverting. And if I push this and refresh, you see revert. So it doesn't override the commit. It creates a new commit that includes the code changes that are basically the reverse of what these code changes here do. So if I go inside, you see server.js, the line that we deleted has been added back.